and welcome to Crypto Chronicles with Spiral Strategies. My name is Talal. I'm here with my partner in crime, Art. You want to say hello?
Hey guys, how you going?
So, welcome guys to episode 1 of the podcast. What we're doing here is giving you a market update, what we're seeing in the market, what we're going to expect in the coming weeks as the halvening approaches. Now, we've got a few topics at hand that we want to touch on. We want to speak about the BTC bottom, the halvening, sentiment, what's going on with sentiment at the moment, how are people reacting to the market, and then the narratives that we're expecting to really outperform in this coming bull market. So, Art, do you want to take the stage and give us a little bit of info about the Bitcoin bottom and the halvening?
Yes, certainly. So the current cycle that we're currently in, definitely getting warmed up, getting started. We're currently sitting at around $65,000. We've dipped down a little bit from the recent highs at 73,000. Now, I just wanted to quickly touch on the bottom that came in. So if we go on a weekly chart on Bitcoin, and what we're going to do here is basically the bottom that came in, which was in November 2022. We had market structure confirmation there, but however, at the time, there was definitely talks that we were expecting to go lower to roughly 10,000, 12,000, and there were some CME gaps on Bitcoin itself that were potentially pointing towards $10,000, $12,000 range. Now, at the time, there was the sentiment in Bitcoin was obviously bearish. A lot of people were overly bearish to the point where it was just getting ridiculous. People was expecting, 8K Bitcoin or somewhere along those lines, at $8,000 to $10,000 range. However, Spiral Strategies, we've done multiple analysis on the bottom that came in. We've got our internal technicals and indicators that told us that the bottom was kind of coming in. We had potential divergences coming in at around that $20,000 area, and I believe I was calling the bottom that as it came in. I didn't believe it was going to break any lower, but at the time, sentiment on Reddit and Twitter, socials in general, was screaming, going way lower to $8,000 to $10,000. But it was just market cycle wise, it was well beyond. It was just too. What do you call it? It was just too over the top.
It got flushed out way too quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry to cut you off there, but
Oh, no, that's all right.
what we were saying here at Spiral is the sentiment is overly bearish. Yes, there was some fundamental reasons as to why it could go lower. Those being the CME gaps. There were gaps in the market, so there were gaps in the market at around 12,000 as well as 10,000, right? And also technically there were also resistance points, support levels that wanted to be tested. Now that's all well and good. However, when the sentiment is overly bearish, you can expect the market to do the exact opposite, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly, and that's pretty much what happened. Because I was heavily watching sentiment on Reddit, and it got to the point where there were so few posts, and the posts that were there, they were just so bearish. People were just done with it. People were absolutely destroyed since the FTX, the FTX debacle,
Implosion.
Luna. Yeah, the market just had a complete meltdown, and it got to the point where you could see as on the weekly chart, you could see consolidation or accumulation beginning roughly July 2022. On the weekly chart, the price action actually slowed down, and when you see that slow down in price action, you could see the candles actually as in like the volatility just was flushed, and you could see as the weekly MACD divs came in, or potential MACD divs came in, when you combine that with sentiment, it was just telling you that the bottom was so much closer than it actually was.
Yeah.
And we even ran some time analysis, which not many analysts actually do, and because it's so hard like to actually predict time itself and how price moves into time, but we have a special indicator that told us that, hey, look, the bottom's probably in, and that came in at around $20,000, and so and after that point, I think that was when they announced the Bitcoin ETF, or potential Bitcoin ETFs, and the news did start to shift. But we were early for, we were quite early for that still.
Yeah, so actually our premium subscribers got this information quite early. When we had told them, hey, we're expecting that the market has actually bottomed now. Expect the market to reverse. And within a couple of months, I believe it was in around April of last year, and March and April of last year, when the ETF rumors started to really surface on Twitter and on other social sites. And that gave us further confirmation that, in fact, this is the bottom. Now that this is a very bullish sentiment, very bullish news, and the long-term holders of Bitcoin, the whales, considering now that this sentiment is out there, that being the ETFs, they don't want the market to go lower, right? Because they've been holding these bags for a very, very long time. They will make sure that they are defending these positions. And you can see it in the current charts, right? You can see it with this this candle in March. We're constantly getting the market pushing up in price action. It dips, right? So it dipped down here to 19,000, and then it just completely rocketed and didn't even come back again, right?
Yeah.
So this further confirmed our hypothesis that this was the bottom. This structure here was the bottom. So,
yeah, exactly. And now, sorry to cut you off there, but just wanted to touch quickly now on, so if you're still on the weekly chart,
yep.
I don't know if you can see my chart, but basically what I've got is on the weekly chart, the literally last two candles, we've actually banged up into resistance, and the recent bear weekly candle, the red
sorry
candle.
To cut you off there. Could you share your screen for me so I can show the people what you're looking at?
Sure thing. Let me just quickly share my screen here.
While he does that, it's really good to have you guys all. We hope to find you here more often. We should be uploading these every end of week. So Sunday, just as a market update and just to tell you what we expect in the next coming weeks. Be advised that we are uploading newsletters on a bi-weekly basis, usually 2 to 3 times a week. So you'll get a lot of information there. We do have premium subscriptions to those newsletters. You will have access to what we're seeing, the charts and the coins that we're actually currently thinking are a good investment opportunity. That's behind obviously our premium. That's for our premium subscribers. Our free subscribers will get just an understanding of what we are looking at, what we think the market is going to do in the next coming weeks. Have you shared your screen there, Art?
Yeah, just did that there. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can, and I will show it to the people. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, just wanted to touch quickly on our weekly time frame heading into the halving. Now I'm just going to zoom into the most recent candle price action. Now, what we've done here is I've got some resistance lines drawn up previously here. These are weekly key resistance lines, and you can see we've kind of banged up into it. We actually wicked up to, what was it, on a daily, it would have been 73,000, but actually, if you look at the close, we're actually still we're still in this resistance. So to be honest, looking at this from a macro longer time frame perspective, it's gonna be rough to hit past this to get into our 80, 90, 100k target area. So maybe into the halving. There's so many scenarios that could play out, but what it's telling me at the moment is, hey, we're reaching this peak focal point, and we might see retracements into the halving, or we might just simply
did we lose them?
We go sideways for a bit, fill out some of these gaps in price action down here. So, don't know if I'm losing connection.
Yeah, you kind of cut out there for a second. So what you were saying was, before the halving, we expect some type of retracement or a just blow past the resistance point. I think what we both suspect, with the halving being only around 28 days or 30 days left, I think we're both on the same page, and we think that we will see a retracement. I don't think the retracement will be down to your 15,000 or your 20,000 level. If you draw a Fibonacci retracement there, we should expect at least a 38.2% retracement, and I believe that is around 50,000. Yeah, that's around 55,000. Yeah. So we should expect it to hit that, because considering, guys, if you look at the overall chart, if you want to zoom out there, Art, this has gone too far, too fast. It's basically a linear graph here. It's just too far straight. So naturally, the market wants to retrace, right? People want to take some profits, or you've got large hedge funds now, like BlackRock, Grayscale, that want to paper hands people. So they want to scare people into selling their positions, create some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, so that they can build a bigger position for the halvening. So we should expect a healthy retracement down to at least 38.2, which is around $55,000.
Yeah, and now, just quickly going back into the halving, we're actually seeing a slightly different pattern in our halvening. Looks like we've broken past our previous all-time high pre-halving. It usually comes in after the halving, so it looks like we've flipped. We've kind of gone inverse in our halving cycle this season. This Bitcoin cycle, I guess. Yeah, what are your thoughts, 𝗙𝗪𝗟?
So I think what you're trying to show the people is, if we actually look back at previous cycles, in previous cycles, the market actually dips. So this is before the 2020 cycle. This is before the 2020 halvening. The market naturally went down into the halvening and then didn't come back again. Whereas now what we're seeing is the market is actually pumping. It has broken its all-time high, right, prior to the halvening. So the halvening should be around April 15th, and it's already broken its all-time high. Now this has not happened before, right? So we are in uncharted territories here. So we have to be very alert and aware of what might happen. So what we're suggesting is, this is an inverse. So the market has now broken its all-time high, right? It has gone above its previous all-time high, right? Which it has never done before. So what we're expecting now is a retracement down into the halvening before again it will go back and break its all-time high once again. That's what we kind of mean by the inverse. So prior cycles, before the halvening, the market tanked, and then it created an all-time high. Whereas now, the market has actually broken the all-time high prior to the halvening. So what we're expecting, like I said, is a retracement, and specifically a retracement around the 55,000 level. So that would be here, around 55,000. Perfect. Is that all we wanted to touch on with regard to halvening and the BTC bottom up, or did you want to add a little bit more?
Yeah, well, just going slightly off topic, but still in with Bitcoin. While we're on the Bitcoin topic, I did want to briefly bring up. So with Bitcoin being, pretty much in mainstream news right now, ever since that Bitcoin ETF got approved, we're now seeing more talks of Bitcoin as being a serious investment vehicle. And now I did see a pretty cool post recently regarding how big money, and we're talking like Saudi Arabia oil money, countries, governments getting in on Bitcoin, and what it could potentially do to supply and demand dynamics. So one of the questions or theories that came up was, well, if you have $500 billion and you wanted to get in on Bitcoin, how do you get in on Bitcoin? And I guess Bitcoin currently now sitting at around 1.2 as of today, the 17th of March, sitting at 1.2, $1.3 trillion market cap. So if you have $500 billion, you're essentially trying to wipe essentially 40%, no, sorry, what is it? Yeah, around 40%, a third of the total Bitcoin supply. Now, what are your thoughts? How would you kind of engineer this or get into this? Because you'd essentially be forcing, if you were trying to get in Bitcoin, even at market, you'd be pushing it well above current market price right now, which is 64,000. You'd easily push it up to $80,000-$90,000 premium just trying to get Bitcoin at $500 billion for $500 billion. So.
Exactly. So what's happening here is now sovereign funds for particular countries. With this case, it's actually Qatar. They're thinking of buying up to $500 billion worth of Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean for the Bitcoin price action? Right, $500 billion. They are, they're not morons. They're not going to buy at a premium. So what they will most likely do is force the market to dip, right, and then take it higher, right? So like you said, that $500 billion might drive the market back up to around 150, $160,000 per Bitcoin, right? But be advised, they're not going to buy it at this level. These funds, they're very, very smart, and they have all the money in the world. We're talking oil money. So if they want to make sure that they have the most amount of Bitcoin, right, amongst other sovereign nations, they want to make sure that they're buying it at a premium, right? At a discount, excuse me.
Or at a discount.
Yeah, at a discount. So they would most likely engineer a retrace, right? That's why we're suggesting that there might be a retrace. And considering now that we're seeing all of this news that other sovereign countries are buying Bitcoin, you best expect that the market will eventually retrace before the halvening, such that they can start buying up over the counter as well as spots, right? Even ETFs. So we should expect the market to retrace and then go up higher. Now, how much higher is the question? Well, if they've got $500 billion, I mean, the market cap of BTC, I believe at the moment, it's 1.3 trillion, right? So
yep.
They're buying almost half of the total market capitalization of Bitcoin. So you could expect it to, 100%, increase. So expect it to be, once they do start buying, expect it to be at around $150,000 per Bitcoin. I don't think that's a far-fetched art, is it?
No, it's not a far-fetched at all, and especially if that is the case, just imagine how the exchanges react, because essentially right now the exchanges are getting dry, as in like the Bitcoin supply itself. It's getting reduced and it's going to continue to be reduced until it gets to the point where there's so little supply on the main exchanges like Binance, like Kraken, like Coinbase. You're gonna actually see super parabolic moves. It has no choice but to do that if that is the case. So it's definitely something to keep an eye out on, especially as the cycle matures and heads into its peak at around 2025, 2026.
And what you guys can expect as well is, because so many countries are buying Bitcoin, they're the whales. They're going to have more access to Bitcoin than we will, right? Than your everyday person. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the stockpile of Bitcoin in these exchanges is going to get depleted, right? And because now the price is going to be so high per Bitcoin, most money is going to flow, most retail money is going to flow into ETFs, but then also into altcoins. It just has to. Your everyday person is going to think, oh, I don't have enough to buy Bitcoin, and I don't really trust ETFs, right? Or I don't understand ETFs, but I do understand crypto, or I have an understanding about what Ethereum is, what Cardano is. So how about I just put a bit of money in and hopefully it does what Bitcoin does? That's what the retail thinking is. They don't want to spend money on ETFs that they don't understand, from companies that they don't understand or they don't trust. They'd rather hold it themselves, right? And invest themselves.
Yeah, and the US actually owns, I believe, around 120,000. Some of that coming from Mt. Gox, some of it coming from Bitfinex 2016 hacks. So the US actually has quite a bit of Bitcoin on the
They
books.
actually have 400,000. They sold some in 2023. So I believe their stockpile is a little bit lower. But yeah, they're one of the biggest. It's the US and China have the biggest majority Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's followed by MicroStrategy, which is one of the the only companies to hold a significant supply of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor is going absolutely insane with the way he is so bullish and just accumulating the absolute crap out of Bitcoin.
Well, he's smart, right? So what he's doing is he understands that not everyone is going to be able to purchase Bitcoin. So he's going to raise capital to buy Bitcoin for MicroStrategies, and then your everyday person, they won't buy ETFs. They'll probably buy altcoins. They'll probably buy ETFs, to be fair, if they understand. That's more your boomers. They'll probably buy ETFs. But your everyday Gen Xers, millennials, they'll say, hey, I don't have enough to buy Bitcoin, but I can buy MicroStrategy stock. So he understands this game. He understands that any company, any country that holds the most amount of Bitcoin is going to be the wealthiest country in the next 50, 100 years. Because it's here to stay. Bitcoin is here to stay. It's going to be one of the most essential backbones of our economic system for the next 100, 200 years, right? And that's not an exaggeration. The fiat world is, you can see it all around us. Everything is collapsing, right? Cost of living is high. People don't have jobs anymore, or they have to hold too many jobs to pay such high expenses, be that bills, car notes, mortgage. They understand now that the world is going to move, the economic world is going to move into alternate alternate means of currency. Bitcoin.
Yeah. And just look at Argentina and Lebanon as an example. I mean, Argentina is the inflation rates in Argentina is around, what is it, like 50% or some crazy some crazy amount per
It
day.
reached triple digits. It was around 119%. It's crazy. So people weren't even able to purchase a loaf of bread for the same price. They would get their paycheck and immediately run to the supermarket so they can buy food, because they know the next day that paycheck is going to be well and truly like half or less than half of what it's valued.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we beat the dead horse.
Yeah.
I think you had some info about Cardano and Hydra.
Yeah, good old Charles Hoskinson.
Yeah.
It's been quiet, to be honest. Cardano's definitely been overshadowed by Solana, by Radium, by AVAX, by Ethereum, by Bitcoin. However, the network itself still seems to stand as one of the top, and it does stand as one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap to this point. But I've always been I wouldn't say hater, but I've never really been a fan of Cardano. But even though I've listened to how Hoskinson presents himself and his vision for the future, it's definitely still a solid project. However, I'm not use case wise. I haven't interacted with the blockchain or the protocols too much, to be honest. And I don't believe I've ever had a great experience on Cardano. But then again, I have not had a great experience on Ethereum itself, and I'm scratching my head, going, hey, well, where's the next best scalable solution for smart contracts, for infrastructure, for all the groundwork that needs to be laid out. I mean, definitely Ethereum's going to have a share of it, but that's why Solana's got its head in the in the race there. It's still it's not the perfect one either. It's fairly centralized, and
kind of it has it oftentimes will actually go out of service. It's happened many times. However, the sentiment is still so strong for Solana. I mean, if we look at the volume here, it's ridiculous. People are stacking, but people are also buying, even at market value. They're not even waiting for a retrace. You can see that by the amount of volume that's coming in here, depicted by these green columns. You were going to say,
and it's definitely got that hype around it, much like similar to not too similar, but similarly speaking in terms of Luna. It's got that memeability, well, not memeability, but it's got the infrastructure,
the community.
It's got the hype, it's got the marketing, it's got the community, it's got all that going for it, especially with some of the meme coins. Yeah, sorry if I cut out there, but some of the meme coins that have come out in that space. Definitely something to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, people are building on it. It's interesting. I know we were supposed to talk about ADA, but Solana is honestly an anomaly, because it just doesn't make sense. If we were to think of this as a traditional company, and the company was providing a service to its people, but that service every now and then turns off, you would expect people to just be like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can't be bothered, with a service that keeps turning off every year or something, right? However, it just doesn't look like it wants to stop. I mean, you were talking about this to our premium subscribers back in 2022 and 2023. You were saying
when it was around $8.
When it was around $8, you were saying, don't fall asleep. Yes, it's been having its troubles, but this is still a very, very good team and a very good name, a very good investment opportunity, right? And look, you were absolutely right. To be honest with you, I was a little bit hesitant. I was thinking, you know what? It keeps dying. It keeps having outages. I don't know about it, but you were bang on the money. You were saying, you know what? Don't fall asleep. And look at it now. I mean, it's literally 10x its price from where you were calling it down here at around $8. I mean, not even 20x. So Solana is a name to really it's not even the dark horse. It's the unicorn. It's definitely the unicorn. And they're building.
Sure.
Whereas ADA, like you were saying, ADA, I was an early believer in ADA, and I like their vision. I like their vision of, you know what, we're gonna do things right. We're gonna do things slow. But to be honest with you, I think that just bit them in the butt. Their programming language is a little bit difficult, so they're not getting a lot of people onboarding and coming in. However, they have been building a solution to that, which is going to allow people that code with Solidity, which is the native language for Ethereum and other EVM compatible blockchains. They're going to allow those types of people that just code in that language to code on Cardano. Now, when is that going to come out, and when is that happening? We still haven't heard anything, right? And they're also their next thing that they're building, and I believe that they're about to launch it soon, was Hydra, right, Art?
Yeah. So Hydra was one of the scaling solutions supposedly coming out on Cardano, and there's been some FUD around recently saying, hey, is the team even still working on this? But Hoskinson's come out on Twitter and said, hey, look, it's all FUD. The community's still there. There's still all these research, all these things being done to keep the project going. But to be honest, Cardano is very quiet. But you can tell, you can see it in the price action in the chart. You've got the chart there. You can see, if you just compare it to Ethereum, to Solana, you see how it hasn't even hit 50% of the previous all-time high. It hasn't done that retracement, so it's definitely lagging and definitely well behind the market leaders right now in the altcoin space, which is Ethereum and Solana.
It hasn't even done a 38.2 retracement, nor a 23.6 retracement. It hasn't even touched it.
It's super far off. But in saying that, it's cheap.
It's cheap,
relatively speaking, compared to all the other chains. So I mean, if Charles Hoskinson can get his stuff together, then there's an opportunity there. Mind you, it's still come up a good 100 to 300% from the lows, but relatively speaking, it hasn't done that 10x, that 20x yet.
And to be honest with you, I got into with a couple of our clients, a couple of our premium subscribers. They were interested in the name, and we gave them a great opportunity. We told them that, hey, this looks like the bottom, and some of them are already up 100%. I mean, one of our members is up, at the moment from 26 cents up 200%. So it's a matter of, is Cardano going to last into the next bull cycle? And to be honest with you, I do have high hopes for it, because guys, just to explain to you what Hydra is a scaling solution that potentially allows Cardano to have transaction speed of up to 3 million transactions per second. Now, how it works is it creates pockets, right, in the chain that allows validators to validate per pocket. So it's not validating on chain, it's validating on a side chain, for example, right? Now, I'm probably butchering this. It's a very technical scaling solution, but how it works is they don't have to validate the transaction on chain. Why that's important is because if you do it on chain, it's going to be very, very slow. So, but if you do it off chain, right, you do it in a little pool, those validators can immediately validate, and then the transaction history goes back onto the main chain, right, and then gets revalidated, basically exponentially growing the transaction speeds, right? And how it works is, because they're a proof of stake protocol, they've got, I believe, over 3,000 pools of people validating. So each pool theoretically can validate up to 1,000 transactions per second. So just do the math, right? 1,000 times 3,000, that's 3 million transactions per second. Now this is if Hydra actually gets launched. I mean, of course, this is a very, very big change to the Cardano protocol. So they might take some time. But to be honest, Art, if they do this, they will be the fastest blockchain ever. Solana only does, I believe, 10,000 transactions per second. I think that's their peak.
It's still a lot.
It's still a lot. It's still a lot. But Visa does like 300,000, 400,000 transactions per second. So if Cardano and their Hydra scaling solution can do up to 3 million transactions per second, I mean, it'll take up the biggest market share across all layer 2s.
But the biggest question, right, is while it's great to have the most transactions per second, but I feel like what the next big thing is, what's the capacity of each transaction? Because when you think about the GameFi, when you think about infrastructure, the smart contracts, they're going to need to be able to handle a certain amount of bandwidth per transaction, and I'd imagine some of them won't be as they'll be considerably bigger than a credit card transaction that would be handled typically on your Visas or your MasterCards. They're going to be much more complex and demand much more security, much more bandwidth, much more storage, things like that. So I'd be curious to see how it handles it workload wise in that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they're working on these issues, and you're right. The more transactions means the more data, and the more people come on board to build, you're going to have data solutions, to accommodate all of these people. Hey, it's a good name to have on the list and to keep an eye on, because it has survived 2 cycles, right? They have been supposedly building, although they've been quiet. I mean, that's a coin toss. Being quiet could mean it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is something to keep on the list. It looks strong, but we'll keep you updated with the next podcast and the next daily briefs and on our premium newsletters. The next thing that we wanted to touch on, unless you wanted to add something else, Art.
Get moving. Beautiful.
The next thing that we wanted to touch on, everyone, and we thank you for your attention, is narratives. So what's the narratives? What's the next big thing for crypto in the next bull market? Now, I'm sure you all know AI has been absolutely massive. And the reason for that is NVIDIA, the stock has been outperforming the market. It's been holding the NQ basically. So we've been telling our subscribers that we're looking at 5 main narratives: AI, DeFi, social media, infrastructure, data storage. Those are the 5 main. Unless I'm missing something, but those are the 5 main that we're looking at. Now let's take a look at as to why. So at the moment, we're getting a lot of interest in AI. And the reason being is, what if AI can speed up smart contracts or fix issues within smart contracts that developers don't need to worry about? These benign small things. That is a massive issue that can work hand in hand, in tandem with crypto. So a lot of tokens like Orai chain, ORAI, are tackling these different problems. So with ORAI, what they're doing is they're doing AI focused oracles. So what an oracle is, it takes real world data from the real world, from traditional finance, and puts it onto the blockchain in a decentralized manner. The reason why that's important is you don't have a point of failure. If ORAI was a centralized entity, that real world data can be manipulated, right? So with AI, the AI solution is going to allow people to upload real world data, right, in a decentralized manner. And what they're doing is they're tokenizing that so that it incentivizes people to maintain the decentralized nature. So we're looking at a couple, right? So ORAI is a oracle. It's a great particular investment obviously this is not financial advice, but it's a good idea to look at for the next bull run, because it's competing with the likes of Chainlink, right, and other oracles. I think the biggest oracle is Chainlink. So if we have a decentralized decentralized AI solution to oracles, I mean that's a big market share that it can take, right, Art?
Yeah, for sure.
So the next thing that we believe that we're looking at is RNDR. Now, RNDR is another AI solution that is focused on cloud computing, specifically GPU computing. Now, we've been on this name since 2022, October of 2022. We knew that this is a massive issue. The reason being is, for example, if I were a person out in Nigeria that didn't have access to supercomputers, right, but I was a pharmacy student, right, or a pharmacy professor that needed to compute what this particular drug does in a body, and I needed computational power, Render gives me that ability to put that data onto the cloud, onto the Render cloud, and have other nodes, other computers compute it for me. And it's incentivized by me paying them in RNDR token. And that is a massive, it's revolutionary, Art.
Yeah, and it's like the Uber concept, right? It's like Uber and Airbnb. It's like use the current infrastructure, build and take advantage of that, and that's pretty much what blockchain is doing concept wise. It's the Ubers, it's the Airbnbs, but it's now becoming the new things, which are AI, storage, all these things. This is what blockchain's doing. It's taking people that already have nodes or existing infrastructure and just giving that access out, renting it out essentially, to the public.
Exactly. And as soon as RNDR came out and rumblings of them partnering with Apple came about, you saw so many other projects divert and start focusing on AI, with the likes of Akash, so AKT, right, and AKT as well, another decentralized cloud computing based company. I mean, they exponential growth. So what this is telling you is the AI narrative is going to be massive in the next bull run. Now, we are actually going to dive deeper into which names are going to outperform which, and what we believe is going to happen, how these blockchains are going to integrate AI. Now, that is going to be on our premium subscriber list. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely subscribe to get that information. It's going to be very, very valuable. You don't want to miss it. The next thing that we are really, really bullish on is the DeFi space. Now, a lot of people are actually forgetting DeFi. They think, DeFi was a 2021. It was 2021. It's long gone. The question and the reason why we believe it's going to be an outperformer is regulation. Now, I just recently put out a tweet on our Twitter. By the way, it's Spiral Strategies, at Spiral Strategies on Twitter. That what I basically said is, with regulation really coming down on centralized exchanges, what that's going to do is it's going to force these exchanges to delist particular altcoins, right? That government entities like the SEC, right? They don't want. So, for example, they just recently delisted Monero, ANT, and a couple of other names. Now, this is the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is regulation is here to stay. And centralized exchanges are going to suffer. And altcoins are going to suffer. So what is a solution that is going to open the door for people to, one, trade altcoins that regulators don't want them to trade and invest in, and two, have the liquidity and the ease of use that centralized exchanges have. And that, we believe, is ORN. Do you want to touch on why we believe ORN is going to be massive?
Yeah, we'll quickly touch on ORN now. Basically, with ORN, it's going to allow a lot of users to onboard into the DeFi space, but trade off basically through their wallets, which is going to be massive because they basically provide access to major exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and all the other liquidity providers. So it's definitely something that we're definitely looking into, and it's one that we believe has massive potential.
Why that's massive, guys, is it's going to allow you to trade off your cold wallet. That's massive. No one else is doing that, right? Two, it's going to give you the liquidity. It's going to be an all-in-one platform, protocol. So under the umbrella of ORN, you're going to have decentralized access to Binance, to KuCoin, to Gate.io, to Uniswap, to QuickSwap, to all your other DEXs and centralized exchanges, right? All under one banner, with the ability to trade from your cold wallet. That is revolutionary. Why is that revolutionary? A lot of issues arise when you take out your assets from your cold wallet. Those issues being phishing, so that you click on the wrong link and it tells you to send your funds to a wallet, and you believe that wallet is a Binance wallet, but it's actually someone else's wallet. Now, you might be thinking, oh, what idiot would do that? Well, the thing is, with the onboarding of so many new people to crypto, these things are going to happen. And the problem with that is people are going to get turned off. If their funds are being stolen, they're going to be turned off crypto. So ORN makes it that so that you don't have to even deal with that. You can safely store everything on your wallet, your cold wallet, right? And then trade off it. It's massive. It's a massive name. And if we look at the volume coming in on ORN, it's an exponential growth. The yellow line here depicts people stacking and accumulating ORN. And if we look at the volume, the buying volume, it's just exponentially growing, right? So we believe that this name is actually going to be one of the fundamentally sound and biggest movers in the next bull run. And if we look at the chart here, I mean, there's not much resistance. So we can expect it to really blow its all-time high quite easily. Is there anything else that we want to touch on with ORN?
Well, while we're on the topic of security and DeFi, I do want to make people well aware. I mean, we're getting new people onboarding crypto every day. It's just the the space is growing like the internet, but you know, where you get the new people coming in, you're gonna get a lot of scammers trying to get a piece of that pie, which is and it's been running rampant ever since COVID. The influx of scammers and you know, they've just been increasing exponentially as well, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Now the issue is, it isn't being addressed. It's being ignored. It's being put under the wraps, under the bed sheets. It's just not. It's not great. And you know, the government's trying to do something, but they're trying to they're trying to work their ways around it. But I don't even think they are, to be honest. They're kind of just scratching their heads going, well, how do we deal with this? Because no one's taking responsibility for it. The banks aren't taking responsibility for it. The governments aren't taking responsibility for it. The countries, no one's taking responsibility for it. It's you and yourself that is the only way, it's the only thing stopping you from getting scammed. And the problem is, no one wants to do that. It's too much responsibility for them. It's way too much responsibility. And so, well, what's the solution, right? Now, I believe the solution is blockchain, but how it gets implemented and done, it's a whole can of worms, right? I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but it's an issue. It's a massive issue right now. Scammers and the security of, you know, your funds, and it's not even crypto. It's literally like the banks and even fiat. Everyone's getting scammed. People are coming up with more intricate ways these days to take money from someone else, whether that's with AI, whether that's with, you know, faulty links, whether that's with websites copying other banks, other genuine websites, and stealing your passwords, stealing your identities. It's running rampant, and you know, it's like a new war on drugs. The police, they can stop one, you know, they can stop one operation in India or Mumbai or wherever, and I'm not calling out India, but you know, a lot of the operations even run in Australia, even run in the US, like in the native countries. But the problem is, if you stop one, you know, there's always going to be more, because the thing is, it's so easy, and everyone's making themselves prone to it. Like, no one's, it's not the education isn't being spread enough. The awareness isn't spread enough, because you only find out. The only way you find out is until you get scammed, and that's just not ideal in any situation. So, you know, the blockchain's gonna, like, and we're looking at, you know, some blockchains that will help with securitization of your ID, all these other things. But something needs to be done, and I think there will be a shift eventually. But you know, by the time that happens, how much money is the economy going to lose from, you know, scammers and security of networks?
Exactly. And hey, this is a new sector. And with new sectors, you're always going to have people that are scamming. People that are in the know scamming the people that are not within, that don't understand it. So how do you fix that? You fix that by holding your own keys in your own wallet, right? And using solutions like ORN. If you want to go down the venture of, you know, trading crypto, right? Finding crypto. One, use people that understand it, like Spiral Strategies. You know, we're here to help, you know, everyone here. If you don't understand it, we're your first point of contact. We're going to help you navigate through this, because there are people out there that will try to scam you, right? So what we're here to do is, one, inform you of what's happening in the crypto market. Two, give you solutions to tackle any issues that you might face in your new journey, because this is a new journey. This is a new asset class, right? Yes, you know, oh, okay, I have experience in stocks and all of that, but there's a start time and an end time to stocks. Crypto doesn't sleep. So you need someone that is going to have your best interest at heart, that's going to look out for you, right? Use them. It could be us, it could be anyone else, right? But do your due diligence. Make sure that you're actually using people that are going to help you.
Yeah, everyone needs to do their own research as well. But I wanted to just touch on a funny, well, not funny, actually, the opposite of funny, a really sad story. But basically, there was a piece that was done in the news not too long ago. Most of these are pretty recent, but there was a crazy scam where someone essentially transferred $50,000 to some random, and that was just by a phone call, where someone
Wow.
was acting as a representative for another banking institution,
Hmm.
and essentially told them that their funds were safe, but in order to keep their funds safe, they needed all this information from them, which they gave, and they essentially ended up somehow getting the money of that particular victim, and it was like about $50,000. And when they rung up the bank, essentially they just said, "Hey, look, not our fault.
Yeah, it's your
You're on
fault.
your own." And
Poor thing.
well, and they've lost their whole life
Mm.
in one phone call, and it's just not on. It's not acceptable. Like something like that, at least there should be some assistance from your banking institution, which you would assume
Mm.
is acting in your best interest. But guess what?
They're not.
They're
They're
not
not.
acting in your best interest. They're just here to take your money, and if you get scammed, hey, not our responsibility.
Exactly.
So, I mean, hey, it's something that needs to be addressed, but the government doesn't want to do anything. They don't want to introduce protocols or anything. They just want to let it run rampant. And there's always going to be the new scam, the new whatever that comes up.
Hmm.
The governments are always going to be 10 steps behind.
Mhm.
There's, the tech and AI these days, it's moving too quick. It's moving at a ridiculous pace, and it's only going to get. That's the problem. It's only going to get worse with AI, because now you're getting all these voice generators, all these deep fakes that essentially just make it. It might as well allow scammers to print money. It might as well.
Mhm.
It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
And that's where the next narrative we believe is going to revolutionize crypto, and that is identity, security. One of the most influential and massive names that we believe is going to really revolutionize the privacy space is LIT. LIT allows you to take control of all of your metadata, all of your official data, like your medical records, your electricity bills, all of that under one umbrella, and secure it just like in a wallet, right? And you have access to it at all times. So let's say, for example, someone were to randomly give you a call and they trace your voice, and they try to look for your information online. They won't be able to. The reason being is it's behind the security wall that is LIT. That is going to be a massive, massive name. Now, the reason why we believe this name is going to be extremely pivotal in the next cycle, in this coming cycle, is look at the amount of accumulation. Don't sleep on accumulation. Yes, people are not buying LIT as much anymore. However, they're still accumulating. They're holding it. They're not selling. The reason for that is they understand, these are the people in the know. They understand that identity and personal data is going to be massive in the new world that is going to involve crypto. So what's going to happen is you're going to be able to, with the use of LIT, control who sees your data. Let's say you go to the doctor and they want to see, okay, what's your past medical history? They don't have access to it like they do traditionally now. You have to give them authorization using this particular protocol. And that's massive. You might think that, oh, well, what's the point of that? Well, if a doctor can have access to it, what makes you think that, someone else cannot hack into the doctor's main, the servers, and take that information and sell that information to foreign countries? This might sound far-fetched. However, it's being done. It's happening like Art told you, people are losing thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So LIT, look here, it's there's such big accumulation happening, right? And at the moment, look at the channel. What do we say, Art, with channels? The longer the channel,
the bigger the what?
The bigger the run. So if we look here, let me turn off this. Look at the channel here. It hasn't even broken out of it. Once it breaks out of this channel, it's all open air. It's all.
And well, a good comparison you could make with LIT is with that channel. If you just bring up ABT, it's 𝗙𝗢𝗀𝗟𝗏𝗪. It basically, 𝗙𝗢𝗀𝗟𝗏𝗪 had a running channel for about. Actually, go on. Don't go on Coinbase. You could probably go on.
Gate.io?
No, go. Oh, you can go. I think go Gate.io. That might be enough history.
Yeah, look at
but
that.
You could see the channel. It was about 2 or 3 years in a channel.
Look at that.
It was actually almost 4 years in a channel.
And most people won't even look at it. They go, oh, this name has died. And look at it. As soon as it broke out, I mean, 500%, and it still hasn't retraced. Like it's still 3 weeks worth of retracement.
Just look at that OBV. It's just it's going absolutely insane.
Bonkers. And look here as well. Although it's not similar to LIT, LIT is much more people accumulating, right? You can see the accumulation. And look at the volume. Now look at LIT's OBV. What does that tell you? Like if we go back, if 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗏𝗪 has this type of OBV, so people were stacking, then they distributed, then they stacked, then they distributed and sold, right? No one has sold LIT. Let me go back. No one has sold LIT. What does that tell you? That tells you that people believe in this name, and eventually, once it does break out, it's off to the races. It's off to the races. Okay. Now the next thing that we believe is going to be a massive narrative is decentralized social media. Now, we are in an election cycle at the moment. 74 countries in 2024 are going through an election. Why this is pivotal is people in power want to stay in power. And how do they maintain their power? Is they want to control the narrative. And who has the vehicle for the narrative? The vehicle that holds narrative are social media sites. Now, if we go back to 2020, and let's just call it the 𝗙𝗏𝗏, during the 𝗙𝗏𝗏 era, you were not allowed to talk about it. Whether it came from a place that we can't name, right? A lab, we weren't allowed to speak about it. So they were controlling the narrative. Now,
see how you're being super careful with your words too? I mean, this is just the whole point, right?
Exactly. So what does this tell you? This tells you that, well, people are going to look for solutions. Now, with Elon buying Twitter, right? That's massive. That's a step in the right direction. People are already allowed to speak more freely, right? Is it as free as can be? No. But however, it's better than what it was. Now, Elon has actually spoken about how he wants to make Twitter the all-in-one platform, similar to WeChat.
Kind of like WeChat.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Kind of like WeChat. So he's going to allow you to transact on X. Now, Elon has also rumored that he might use Doge as a blockchain to allow transaction on X. Now, this is extremely massive for this particular narrative, for the social media narrative. Why it's massive is now it's going to force competition. Now, we believe social media is going to be one of the biggest narratives in the next coming cycle. Some of these names include DeSo. Now, if you just look at DeSo and what it's done, Look at the channel and look at the run. So it has went from $8 to about 50, 400%. This is massive because it gives us it's the writing on the wall. It tells us that people are actually interested in this narrative. They want other options for social media, other options for YouTube, other options for Twitter, other options for Instagram, where they can speak more freely and use and transact on it. So we believe not only 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗪𝗏 is going to be a massive name, it's already had its run. We expect it to come back and retrace, but a few names that we believe are going to do well include Loom. Now, Loom is a brand new social media service. Okay, it's very similar to Twitter. They also are trying to compete with video social medias like YouTube and all of that. Hey, look at the run here. Same thing. People are very excited for this particular name. Another one that I believe is going to be massive and is the dark horse is XTM. It's basically a Twitter clone, right? Now, tell me, this looks cheap to me. And look at the channel. People are also now starting to accumulate. They understand that, hey, this narrative is going to be massive. So we believe that social media, decentralized socials, is going to be massive in the next bull run. Is there some?
Look at TikTok. Yeah, look at TikTok as the example too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what the US has done to TikTok?
They're trying to ban it.
They try to ban it. Like, and look, if you're a decentralized social platform, how are you going to ban it?
You can't. Who bans it?
You can't ban it. Yeah, who bans it?
Who bans it?
You can have restrictions on it from your country, but what does that tell you about the country you're in?
Exactly. So, hey, the writing's on the wall. Like Art said, people are trying to ban TikTok. There's a lot of scrutiny and censorship on platforms like Facebook and Meta and Instagram. And Twitter is, although it's a little bit better, there's still some things that you can't say on there or you can't post on there. Now, we're not here as anarchists. We're just saying that with more regulation and more censorship, that's just going to breed innovation. And we're here to tell you about the companies that are innovating, that are fixing, that are creating solutions for that censorship. Is there anything else that we want to touch on there, Art?
I think we've been going on for a while as well, but I think that's pretty much all that was pretty crazy for this week.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we have for you. I hope you all got some value out of it. Stay tuned for a few newsletters coming out on particular names. Let's just say they're layer ones and DeFi that we believe are going to be massive and pivotal. Do subscribe to the newsletter, and we'll see you on the other side. From Art and myself, peace.
Peace out. Peace.